Hello YouTube, this is part 2 of a PLO 4 live play video on global poker, and basically I'm just playing some pot in Omaha and discussing the situations that arise. Table 1, King, Queen, 10, 8, going to complete after 2 limpers. You should raise very sparingly out of the small blind, especially against multiple limpers. There is sort of an exception to that rule where if you're against one late position limper who stands to have a pretty weak hand, then you can go ahead and raise a little more frequently. And I'm not going to call with my gut shot on a paired board, even getting 5-1. Table 2. This is kind of an interesting decision. You have decent aces, and I am tempted to raise, but I am just going to call. I do have a pretty severe positional disadvantage, but more importantly, if I raise pre-flop, my opponents are more likely to put me on what I have. So in poker, you never want to play face up. You want to be deceptive, and you don't want your opponents to know what you have. If they know what you have, then you lose. I'm going to overlimp table 2. This is not really a good hand. In Omaha, you want to play 4 cards that are working together, and here I'm only playing 3. But I am double suited, and against an open limper, presumably, he could be doing that with a lot of weak hands. So I flop top 2 on a very dynamic board, and I'm certainly going to bet if it's checked to me. I'm going to bet 10 cents. Seems reasonable. I would probably just flat call if I raised, mostly for pot control. In a limped-in pot, you do want to be pretty careful about what sort of hands you're stacking off with, because the SPR is so high. Even like bottom set is not really a hand you want to end up stacking off with when there's 16 cents in the pot and $4 left to be bet. You're going to find that if somebody else is willing to stack off in such a large SPR situation, then it's very likely they have a hand that has you crushed. In a sense, kings and queens is a little better than pocket sixes, because at least you block kings and queens, pocket kings and pocket queens. So whereas with pocket sixes, you'll often get it in versus pocket kings or pocket queens. With king queen, at least you get it in against pocket sixes, or of course the draw. But at least you have more equity. So here on the table 1, obviously I make the nuts, and the question is how much to bet. So unfortunately, it's pretty unlikely anybody has a set, and I would have liked a larger bet, but I had to bet something. I was about to time out, so turned out they couldn't even call that. But basically, in that situation, I like a near pot bet, basically targeting Jack 8, because it's unlikely anybody has flop to set or has set on the turn, because they would have bet. So Jack 8 gets there, they'll probably call anything that you bet. Queen's up, likely to call almost any bet from a loose player. So table 1, aces and deuces. After I check the big blind in a limped-in pot, I get called by a loose player. So I'm going to bet the turn and fold to a raise and check pretty much every river. Obviously, you're going to check that one. And he pots it. So I fold. Pretty straightforward. Table 2, I open aces, get called by 2 players. I'm not really interested in putting any more money into the pot on this disastrous flop. Table 1, flop middle set. I'm going to go for a check raise. I like to check raise decent amount when I'm first to act. Didn't really work out this time, but I think it's a decent option. And often somebody will bet for you. And the river is a 10, completes ace jack and jack 9. So I check, take it down. Interesting to note this player limped in with aces, but then also called a bet on the turn with just aces unimproved after I bet 5-way. So it's a pretty 5-way? 5-way. It's a pretty ambitious call with just aces. And interesting too that he limped in. Don't know whether he was going to limp re-raise or limp call. Probably, I would guess limp call, but we'll never know. It's a secret. But the turn call in particular makes me think that he's a loose player. We see from the note he's got a history of open limping. Likely this player is showdown bound, is liable to make a lot of loose calls after the flop. I think that a lot of times you can draw some reasonable inferences about how your opponents play simply by a few hands like that. Obviously, you don't want to just make the assumption. You want to continue to verify your analysis. And okay, what happened here? Ace, queen, 4-3, and he called, and then just called down. Okay, on the turn he picked a wheel wrap. I'm not even going to defend these queens. So, and we've seen this player before actually make some very loose calls, but so there he called on the 9-9-5 with 2 diamonds flop with just ace high, then picked up the wheel wrap and stacked off with it. This guy just had king, so he was just going kind of a little hard himself, but fortunately I can't amend my notes here because he's sitting out, so apparently that's not allowed. But definitely very unusual play, peeling 9-9-5 2 diamonds flop with just ace queen high. Actually, I can amend my notes. I just have to open the replayer, right? But that's definitely, pretty hard confirmation of a read that he's a whale, but also, which guy was he? I just called. This guy. Oh, but why isn't my player note on him showing up already? Well, hopefully that shows up the next time I play this guy. Hi, Mom, or whatever. I guess I can always consult back to this video too. King, ace 6, 3 diamonds on table 2. pretty strong hand. This guy earlier open looped the button with 3 9s and a 5. So obviously a bit of a fun player here. Pro tip, do not open limp the button with 3 9s in your hand. Okay, so I open, cut off, and get 3-bet with a button. King, A6, we're pretty deep. And I'm just going to fold. Make the nit play. I'm not sure about that. I mean, in general, like weaker kings, they're not a great hand to call a 3-bet with. You definitely have to keep an eye on this guy and try to get a better read on him. See how he plays. It's obviously, one thing where statistics can give you some more information. A lot of times you're multi-tabling, it's more difficult to really keep an eye on how everybody's playing and what their tendencies are. This guy cold called, took 2 to the face on the flop with just open-ended. So it's pretty loose. Presumably this player here, Dolphin 8. A loose aggressive regular. One of those 35-25 types, probably. Overall, I have found the games at Global Poker to be pretty soft, of course. PLO 4 is usually fairly soft on any site. I didn't notice a significant difference in the quality of the games at PLO 10. Same sort of cast of characters. Haven't tried the PLO 20 or PLO 50 tables yet, so nothing to report there. I'm going to raise out of the big blind. It was Ace, King, Queen, 9 against basically a button open limper because they've got a. I've been playing for 61 minutes, and during that time I've lost 46 cents sweep cash. Son of a bitch. Yes, I want to keep playing. I got to get my money back now. Of course I need to keep playing. What sort of question is that? I guess that's some sort of responsible gaming. Table 2. Ultra dry flop here. I have top pair, top kicker, and I'm going to bet tiny. Fold to a raise. Taking it down. Obviously, there's not really any draws. There's okay. So it turns out the notes you take in the replayer don't translate over, but potentially they might show up in the replayer again. This player, Einen28, we were playing with earlier, very loose player, and post-flop making some frankly batshit insane calls, appealing with ace high on paired boards. Just really bizarre plays. So a lot of fun to have at the table, and generally has a very loose passive style of play. I would expect to see maybe a straight or kings up or better from line 28, just based on observations of his play on the fast. In fact, he had king 10. And forgot my shit. Took a nice line with ace queen there, flat calling down. Gonna overlimp on table 2. Pretty weak hand, but got the button. Random against a very loose limper guy who opened the button with 3 of a kind in his hand earlier, so a lot more incentive to get in the pot in position. I don't really like ISO raising this hand. 4-1 with second nut flush on a gut shot. I'm going to call. Looks like Dolphin 8 made the nuts here. Maybe I made a mistake on the turn, calling, potentially drawing slim. What are you going to do? Table 2, open ace-7, 3-4, and I'm just going to give up on the pot. Ace high, against a very loose player who could probably call with a hand as weak as like king 8, something like that. So I'm not going to try to bluff the very loose player. Just going to check down and almost certainly lose. Oh, take it down, ace-7. Pick up e7, 4-5, double suited. Decent hand. Just going to check my option. Take a note, this guy is open, limping the button. Flop bottom 2, 3-way pot. And I think the best approach in this situation is just to check. Certainly going to fold to this guy's pot bet. I imagine he has a pretty strong hand to be betting the flop. Queens up or a set, or maybe a big wrap like 9-8-6 or 8-6-4. So checks the river. His hand looks a lot like made hand. This guy jack sells peeled the flop. We're going to upgrade him to whale. And over here, got a post player who posts to come into the game, short stack, and also an odd buy-in. I think it wasn't even $2, it was like $1.94 or whatever. So potentially they could be buying in for their whole balance, and that's why they end up with that stack size. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I just wanted to show you guys how to take some reads on people without a HUD and demonstrate the software. And look at that guy. Snap leaves the table as soon as he doubles up. That's awesome. Insta rack. Yeah, show the process of making reads on people without a HUD and show off the PLO 4 games. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, and let me know what you think in the comments.